Right. Ask your mother for some sinus medicine.
Minus
Yeah, for sinus congestion.
sinus medicine, right?
Congestion, yeah.
Congestion was sinus.
Same thing. Congestion and sinus medicine. She's my teacher.
Hello?
Check, check, check.
Yes, Mr. Leonard.
Check.
Yes, I'm with you. Hello, how are you, Mr. Leonard? Can you hear me? Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Have you used Google Classroom before?
Yeah, a little bit. But I know it, yeah. It's easy, يعني.
Yeah, so this is we're gonna operate do a lot of operating Google Classroom, so you need to make sure you familiarize yourself with it with the
Okay,
Google Class.
إن شاء
That
الله.
all the information for the course will be found in the Google Classroom. Okay.
Okay, إن شاء الله.
Um, let's see. All right, now I'll tell you right now, it's gonna be difficult to talk to you with the black screen if we're gonna have a
Really?
course.
Just because I was, yeah, inshallah, next time I will open it because I was cooking, actually running. I didn't get ready, يعني.
All right, yeah, because it's gonna be difficult it's hard to, it's almost like we're talking over the phone, you know?
Yeah, you are right. Inshallah, from next Saturday, I will open my camera, don't worry.
All right. All right. All right, today I want to start off, so to tell you just a little bit about the course, what the expectations are in the course.
Yeah,
I put some of those in the Google Classroom. All right.
okay.
First, I'm going to share my screen.
I have seen that you sent a grammar book or something like that. I saw it quickly, and you wrote that I have to read it, one chapter every week.
Not the grammar book, the textbook.
Which one? Sorry. Oh,
The textbook is what you have
yes,
to read two
textbook.
chapters.
Yeah. Oh,
Yes. The Smooth Book textbook, you have to read once, two chapters a week.
oh, okay.
So the chapters are not long at all. They're quite short.
Mm,
Okay. And the chapters will go along with the um the the lectures that we have, the conversations that we have.
okay.
The uh so one of the things that you're going to do every week, starting from today, is you should be taking notes on what you talk about, and then you're gonna do a weekly journal.
Okay.
And in that weekly journal, it has to be handwritten,
What is
not
it about
typed.
the journal? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna explain it to you.
Yeah.
It's in
Okay.
all it. I wrote everything in the Google Classrooms. So
Mm,
in the weekly journal, you're gonna answer two questions.
mm,
What did I learn in the course of the week? And then how can I use that towards my teaching? Okay. That's the two questions every week. And
okay.
what I'm look and that should be handwritten, and you should fill one page. All right,
Inshallah.
for book questions. So it's not very hard. Handwritten, fill one page, and that content can come from the um the conversation that we have, and then
Mm,
the reading, and then the reading.
okay. So you get
Basically,
it. Oh,
the
okay.
every Tuesday I'm going to ask you. So next Tuesday I'll ask you to read your journal, and then we'll spend a couple minutes talking about what's in your journal
Oh,
or
you
what
are
you
going
wrote
to
in your.
tell me what I have to read, right?
You're gonna read, starting from today, you're gonna read two chapters a day. Two chapters for two chapters a week. I'm sorry. You're
Oh,
gonna read
okay.
two chapters a week,
Oh,
okay?
okay.
And then you're gonna take the lectures, the 2 hour lectures.
Mm,
So during the lectures, you're gonna take notes, and as you read, you're gonna take notes, and then that's where you're gonna make your journal responses from.
okay, inshallah.
So just take a note, just get a dedicated notebook, and you should have
Yeah, I have a note.
we have about what 8 weeks, so you should have 8 journals. Okay.
Okay.
should have 8 journal entries.
How can I
Okay.
send the journals for you?
You're gonna send the journals. Well, you'll send the journals in the Google Classroom. You
Okay.
could just take a picture, but mainly you're gonna read the journals every Tuesday. That's the first thing we'll do is we'll read your journal responses. Okay.
Inshallah.
So so in the so if share screen. All right. So again, this is the Google Classroom. It's an introduction. You can read that introduction. There's a lot of information about the course. Okay. Then you have the Zoom link. It'll be the same Zoom link every day. Every time we have a session, it's the
Okay.
same Zoom link. All right. And then the textbooks are right here. And then I will include a link for you to upload your journals and any other resources I'll put in the classroom. So you could always have these as a resource, this classroom as a resource. So there's this learning resources. I'll add more information. There'll be another tab for journals where you upload your journals. Okay.
So I will start reading from the first one, textbook, the primary.
You read from the first chapter. So the goal is to read 2 chapters a week.
2 chapters.
Textbook. Now the grammar book, what we're gonna do is we'll select a day where there'll be one day we have to spend one day together going over the grammar book. All right. So you can come. We typically what students do is they come to my house on a Saturday, and we spend several hours going over the grammar book. Okay.
Okay.
So it's a crash course in grammar. We normally do that towards the end of the course. Okay. Because the grammar book we take it normally several hours to get through the book. All right. And that's pretty much when we do that, that's the end of the course. After the next thing we do is just go over the items on the test. Again, you don't take the test. We're just going over the test because remember, this is an abbreviated course. So typically when I ran this course in the past, we did it in person over 6 months. We met every Saturday for 4 hours, but I don't do that. Ever since COVID, I stopped doing that.
Oh, good.
So he is to read the textbook and do the journals. Okay.
Inshallah. Okay.
What type of things are we going to cover in this course? Well, we're going to cover best teaching practices. Okay. Specifically as it relates to teaching a language, not just teaching English, but teaching any language. Obviously, we're focusing on English, but you can use these strategies to teach any language. And quite frankly, you can use them to teach anything, any subject, even math. Okay. So this is not just a TESOL course, but it's an overall teaching professional development. Okay.
Okay.
So we'll go over lesson planning. We'll go over teaching reading, teaching writing, teaching listening, teaching speaking. We'll go over modeling. Okay.
Okay.
So today what we're going to do is an intro. Like I said, you should be taking notes. And then if you have any questions, don't hesitate to stop me to ask any questions, anything that may seem confusing. The first thing that I want to talk about today is some to talk about some of the bad habits that we see in schools regarding just teaching in general. Okay. In many schools, whether it be here in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, Japan, whatever the case is, Spain, Pakistan, wherever the case may be, there are very bad teaching practices because people believe in a lot of myths when it comes to teaching. Okay. So the first thing I want you to know is that you are not a teacher.
Mm.
Okay, I want you to get that. I want you to understand that concept.
I'm not a teacher.
Okay,
Okay.
you're not a teacher.
Oh.
I'm not a teacher. No one's a teacher. It's a very bad label
Mm.
because it presumes that just because we give lessons that people learn.
Mm.
It doesn't work like that. Just because you stand up in the talk, just because you stand up in a classroom, you start talking and give a worksheet or you show something on a PowerPoint presentation, um, that doesn't mean that you're teaching. And it doesn't mean that students are going to learn.
Yeah.
So understand that first. Um, whether they be students or learners or whatever you want to label them,
Mm.
people did not learn because you teach, because you stand up in front of them and talk to them.
So what we're gonna do?
Dr. Diane Lawson Freeman says students do not learn because we teach.
Mm. Yes.
Willis says what is learned is not necessarily what was taught.
Mm.
What
Just.
is learned
Mm.
is not necessarily what was taught. All right.
Mm.
Dr. Diane Lawson Freeman, she also says, Dr. Diane Lawson Freeman, by the way, is she's world renowned when it comes to language teaching. She's a researcher. I call her the queen of language teaching. She knows her stuff. So if Dr. Diane Lawson Freeman says that teaching doesn't cause learning, best and believe that teaching doesn't cause learning.
Mm.
Okay.
Yes.
And you know that as a teacher. What grade do you currently teach?
Grade one. I have been teaching grade one 10, 11 years.
Oh. So after 11 years, you know that just because you give a lesson or you give a course of instruction
Mm.
over a certain amount of weeks, that students don't necessarily learn what
Mm.
you have said, right?
Yes,
And
of course.
there's many problems. And the other issue is we don't know what was learned. This is why Willis said
Mm.
what was taught is not necessarily what was learned is not necessarily what was taught.
Yes,
Okay.
of course. Yeah.
So if you understand that right from the very beginning, this makes your life a lot easier as an educator and a lot harder. It makes it easier because you have less stress, right?
Mm. Yes.
It makes it harder because now you have to move from the mindset of being a teacher to the mindset of being a social scientist. When you are an educator, you are a researcher. Okay. There's a
Mm.
guy named Dr. Camara DeVelu. I think he's passed on now. I think
Mm.
he died a couple years back. But Dr. Camara DeVelu has something called the post method condition. And it was centered around three P's: practicality, particularity, and possibility.
Mm. Mm.
Practicality, Dr. Camara DeVelu said that practicality is about uh, doing that. There's no best method. There's no best teaching method. That you use the method that is best for the students that you have in front of you.
Yeah, of course. Mm.
Particularity is about knowing that you don't teach a class, you teach individuals. That and all of these individuals are not the same. All
Mm.
right, whether they have uniforms on, whether they are the same age,
Mm.
whether they're the same religions, nationality, they're not the same. That people are individuals, even if they have a uniform on, even if they worship the same religion, even
Mm.
if they're on their same age, even if they live in the same neighborhood. People are still individuals, and each one of those individuals have wants, needs, and expectations.
Yeah.
Okay,
Mm.
that's particularity. And then Dr. Kamara DeVelu talked about possibility. And possibility is my favorite because what we are to do as educators is create possibilities. And you have to be, he said that you have to be brave enough to create possibilities, to go against
Mm.
what may be the status quo or the popular thing to do in the school or in the society to make sure that your teacher, that your students get something out of the instruction or
Mm.
what you're doing. Okay. Now, this can be difficult because we, as you know, parents believe that they know what's best for the students,
Yeah.
and the principal believes they know what best, and the coordinators think they know what best. Everybody thinks they know what's best. The book publishers, the government, right?
Mm.
Uh,
Mm.
and everyone tries to dictate to the educator or to the teacher what should be done and how it should be done. This is why you should not be a teacher. You should not have the mindset of a teacher. You should have the mindset of a social scientist to understand that basically what you are doing is research. Every time you have a group of students every year, you're
Mm.
doing research. You're trying to figure out the wants, needs, and expectations of those young people to figure out what problem that they have that they want to solve and that they need to solve, and align that with the problems that those other entities have, like parents and the school and
Mm.
society and the government. You have to do the incredible job of mix of integrating the students' wants, needs, and expectations with all those other expectations of those other people, parents, principals, administrators, your expectations, the textbook expectation, all these people, the Ministry of Education, Department of Education, whatever the case may be.
Mm.
That's a very difficult job. Okay.
Yes.
And you will see people try to quantify that. It cannot be quantified. That is a qualitative experience. So you have to do what Donald Freeman says is calls a class action research. And basic class action research is about reflection, being the reflective teacher and getting to know your students,
Mm.
right? Knowing their wants, needs, and expectations, making sure that you are engaging or and updating a learner profile, right?
Mm.
Carol Ann Thomason, she says that the three things are needed when you differentiate instruction, right? So differentiation is the next level of teaching, right? So to differentiate instruction, she says that three things are needed. First, first you must consider the student must be ready first, right? The learner must be ready to learn,
Mm.
right? Student must be ready to learn. She also says the student must be interested. The student
Yeah.
must be interested in what is being taught.
Mm.
And then she says that the teacher must consider the learner profile. All right. And what is the learner profile? The learner profile is who that student is. Because again, going back to Dr. Camara DeVello's post-method condition, particularity. You have
Mm.
particular people who have particular wants, needs, and expectations, right?
Mm.
You don't teach a class, right? And this again, this is pedagogy, all right? This is
Mm.
pedagogy. This is basic
It's a hard
pedagogy.
term. This is the first time I heard about these terms. I heard a little bit. Oh, yeah.
Well, that's why I do it this way for this course,
Mm.
because there's a lot of people who've been teaching a long time, especially abroad, who don't know the science of teaching. Teaching is a science,
Mm.
all right? It's a chaotic science. And people don't treat it as a science. People treat it as something other than a science. So you
Mm.
have to know these different scientific tools to use because, as Prabhu said, there is no best method. So
Mm.
if there's no best method, the educator must be able to use many different methods and have many different methods in their toolbox, right?
Mm.
So, online, whether it be project-based learning, whether it be problem-based learning, whatever, whether you flip in the classroom, but all these differentiation, personalization, all these fancy terms, they don't necessarily work for everyone,
Yeah.
right? Sometimes we have to integrate different things. Everyone has different needs,
Yeah. Of
right?
course. Mm.
So if you don't look at the learner profile and you never consider the learner profile, how in the world are you meeting the needs of individual learners? Again, as a educator, see, if you're a teacher, you teach a class,
Mm.
okay,
Yeah.
and you handle your students as students. If you're an educator, then you teach individuals and you handle those individuals as learners because there's a difference between students and learners. The
Yeah.
biggest problem that we have in schools today is that you have teachers and you have students
Yeah.
instead of saying that you have educators or researchers and learners.
Mm.
And
Yes.
this is a mindset shift. This is a paradigm shift, right?
Nice. Mm. Yeah.
When you are a researcher, when you're a social scientist, you know that you don't know. You're aware that you don't know. So
Yeah.
going back to Dr. Diane Lawson Freeman's idea that students do not learn because we teach. Now, if you go in a classroom thinking, I'm a teacher and I'm going to teach these students X, Y, and Z, you
Mm.
have failed already,
Of course.
right?
Mhm.
Because
Mhm.
how do you know what that student needs? How do you know the student's wants, needs, and expectations? How do you know the student even wants to know that? How do you know the student is ready to learn that? How do you know the student this is above the student's grade level? Maybe it's below the student's grade level. How do you know this?
Yeah.
Right?
Mm.
But most of us will at the beginning of every school year,
We do the
what do we do?
diagnostic test. Yeah.
We don't know anything about those young people who
Yeah.
are sitting in front of us.
In front
Now,
of us.
now, remember, pedagogy, teaching young kids is different than teaching adults.
Yes.
Teaching
Yes.
adults is something totally different.
Mm.
But when we talk about pedagogy, right, teaching K to 12, we have to know the wants, needs, and expectations of those young people sitting in that classroom.
Yeah.
So whether it's 20 of them, 35 of them, 5 of them, 12 of them, 11 of them. You need
Mm.
to get to know those students. And obviously, the more learners you have in your classroom, the more difficult it's going to be for you to engage them because and learn more about them. Because we are individuals also,
Yes.
right? So um so that's the first thing I want you to get in your mind that when you are teaching, whatever you're teaching, that the first thing you have to know is that you are not a teacher.
Teacher. Mm. Mm.
You are a social scientist. You are someone who's going to emically, EMIT, emic, and yeah,
Mm.
emic and et
Emek.
that you're going to be a part of this social experiment, right? That lasts 180 days, however long the school year is, 180 days, I believe.
Mm.
And you're going you're going to spend 180 days adjusting your teaching, trying to find the best method, trying to deal with the students' wants, needs, and expectations. It's very, very important.
Mm.
It's extremely important. It requires a certain level of patience and it requires a certain level of expertise. The simple matter is everyone should not be a teacher because we're going to go over a lot, some things, not a lot, but some things in a short period of time that we have together. But there's much more to learn. And I don't care how many degrees you have. You have a bachelor's degree, master's degree, PhD. I have a PhD. I have a doctorate degree in
Mm.
education. Okay.
Mm.
I
Mhm.
still don't, there's so much stuff that I don't know. I don't know anything. In fact, the only thing I know with my doctorate degree is that I don't know anything. But so often I see people walking around with bachelor's degrees or no degree at all in classrooms. And they tell you, and they have all these great ideas about education. Everyone has all these great ideas about teaching and learning, but our students' academic performance is waning year by year in almost every country. In the countries where academic performance is rising, is countries that take professional development seriously, take hiring licensed educators seriously, and they really look to innovate their teaching and learning transaction. As an educator, you have to understand that you are learning just as much as the students are learning. In fact, you're probably learning more than they are because you're learning about them. Give me 1 second, please.
Okay.
Hello? Walaikum salam. Okay, security, Villa 20. Villa 20, security. Muffy, WhatsApp. This was security. Delivery security. Amazon, right? Yeah, security. Security. Compound. Compound. How your mama? Guys are lazy. But so that's the first thing I want you to understand and go into this course with that mindset. Okay.
Yeah.
Go into this course with that mindset. Okay.
Okay.
Now there's a couple of people that you should know when we talk about TESOL.
Yes, Mr. Ryan.
There's a couple people you should know. The first person is Noam Chomsky.
Oh yeah, I know him.
All right, so tell me what you know about Noam Chomsky.
Noam Chomsky. Ya Allah, Bismillah.
What is Noam Chomsky famous? He's famous for many things, but when it comes to teaching languages,
Linguistic, right?
what does he know? What is he famous for?
Bismillah.
You know what he's famous for?
I forgot, wallah, actually.
Noam Chomsky is
Yeah.
famous for when it comes to English language teaching. He's famous for something called the universal grammar theory. Okay.
Universal
The
grammar
universal
theory.
grammar theory. Yes. Okay.
Universal grammar theory,
And the universal grammar theory says basically said this. I'm gonna make it simple for you.
Yeah, okay.
That we are all pre-wired to learn languages. Okay.
Okay.
God gave us an app. All right. He gave us a lot of apps, right? And one of those apps is learning languages. So we all have the idea is that we all have the ability to learn languages and many languages.
Mr. Rayner, do I have to write everything?
You need to take notes on what you think is most
Yes,
important.
because I'm writing actually, but
Yeah, just take notes on what you think is most important.
okay.
So there's no so there's no a student can't learn a language. It's not impossible for a student to learn a language.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yes.
that's key. That's a key concept. Okay,
Okay.
so now for the older that we get, the harder it becomes. So for me, I'm getting old. It's harder for me to learn a language because of many things, right?
Mm.
But for young people, it's quite easy for them to learn, pick up
Yes.
languages, many languages. Okay. Now,
Yes.
obviously, if they have a learning disability
Mm.
or some type of mental affect, um, obviously, if they have a learning disability or some type of mental affect, obviously that's going to affect them,
Mm.
right?
Yes.
Um, but even still, even with mental affects, most people can learn many languages, especially when they're younger. Again, the older you get, the harder that is. But that's the universal grammar theory in a basic nutshell. Okay, in a basic,
Mm.
without getting too overly complicated. So you should know Chomsky is known for the universal grammar theory.
Mm.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Nice.
All right. Um, and then we have another very important theory. Some people are saying that this theory has been debunked, but it's not true. I believe this theory is it's 100% valid, um, and even to this day, and even the person who created theory still defends it to this day. And it's
Mm.
called the effective filter theory. The effective filter theory by Stephen Krashen. Stephen
Sorry.
Krashen.
Again?
K effective
Yeah. Yeah.
AFFECTIVE
Ah,
filter theory by Krashen. Stephen Krashen.
theory. Okay. Mm.
Okay. And basically what that theory says is that if so you have a filter,
Yeah.
right?
Filter. Theory. Okay.
So you have a filter, okay?
Mm.
And basically what Krashen says is our job as educators is to reduce that filter as much as possible.
Mm.
Make it small. Okay? That's what Krashen says. That students come into a learning situation and they're already nervous, right? They're shy, they
Mm.
have they're apprehensive, right? It's difficult. They don't understand what's going on. So they have a very large filter. And if you try to teach them with
Reduce the filter first.
large filter, it's hard. It's hard to teach them because it's a lot of filter to go through.
Mm.
So as an educator, what you want to do is reduce that filter.
Mm.
Crasher says, reduce that filter, make it small. The
Mm.
smaller you make the filter, the easier it is for students to receive the inputs that
Mm.
you want to give them, right? So we all teach on inputs, and Krashen called those CIs or comprehensible inputs. Comprehensible inputs. All right, this
Mhm.
is very important. Comprehensible inputs, and these comprehensible inputs they must be compelling and understandable.
Okay.
They must be
After reducing the
compelling
mm.
and understandable. So Krashen says in his effective filter theory, it's the idea that students come us with this imaginary filter in their brain,
Mm.
apprehension. You can call it apprehension. And that
Apprehension.
is quite large when they enter a classroom. They don't know the teacher, they don't know what's going on, they don't know the language, they
Mm.
don't know the subject, they don't know how to do math. This effective filter is not just for languages, by the way. It's
Mm-mm.
for everything.
Yeah, not only about the environment or the teacher, yeah, maybe.
Right. So this is new. So they get a certain level of apprehension.
Mm.
Mhm.
Okay.
Right. And then our job as educators is to help reduce that filter.
Okay. Mm.
All right. Not so, we smile, we make the environment warm, comfortable, inviting for learners.
Mm.
Why? Not just because we're nice people, but because we know the science that if a person is feels comfortable, we can reduce that filter. The other part of it is we have to give them comprehensible inputs. And again, those inputs must be what? They must be understandable and they
Mm.
must be compelling.
Yes.
Understandable and compelling. So some teachers or some educators, they do a wonderful job in reducing the filter. They smile, they're very nice to the students,
Mm. Mm.
very understanding with the students. They got beautiful classrooms. The
Mm.
seats are nice and comfortable, right?
Yes.
But then when they go to give the student inputs, the inputs are not either they're not understandable or they're not compelling.
Okay.
Either they're not understandable or they're not compelling. Okay.
Okay.
And this is very important because this is where a lot of teachers get frustrated. All right.
Mm.
Now, going back to the learner profile and particularity, if you don't know who you have sitting in your classroom, it's going to be very difficult for you to give them inputs that are understandable and compelling.
Mm. Yes, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have to know the people that sit in your classroom. You need to know their level, their grade level. You need to know their wants, needs, and expectations. So the
Mm.
first thing, now how many, you say you've been teaching for 11 years, right?
Yeah.
How many schools have you taught at over the 11 years
Two.
that, okay, two schools, that's good. So you've been in schools a long period of time.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. Mm.
Out of those two schools, and out of the years you've been teaching, how many years has the principal or the leader for the department said, for the first 2 weeks or the first month of school, I don't want you to do any teaching. I just want you to get to know your students. Has that ever happened?
Yeah, yeah, wallah. Yeah. Every time actually. We do this in the beginning, 2 days, just only for 2 days, not for the
No,
whole week.
you're not listening to me. How many did I say 2 days?
Yes, only 2 days. Yes, we're doing.
No, what did I say?
You said how many times the principal said that you have to know the students, right?
But how
With them.
what's the duration? But what's the duration? Did I say?
Sorry? Ah, I didn't get you.
I gave you a duration. I said 2 weeks to a month. How many schools have told you that just get to know your students for about 2 weeks or a month? 1 month.
Well, actually, for 2 weeks only. Yani 1 week ice breaking. The second week we see the level of the students. This is the duration. This is what you asked about, or
No, I'm
okay.
asking you because you said 2 days at first.
Ah,
So
today for the diagnostic test. Yes.
no, I'm not talking about diagnostic tests. That's a part of learner profile too. But I'm
Mm,
talking about just whether it's diagnostic tests, getting to know them, no instruction, no instruction at all.
yeah.
Give them assessments, but no instruction at all. How many schools allow you just to get to know your students and find out their wants, needs, and expectation over the span of 2 weeks to a month?
I don't know actually how many schools do this.
No, I'm not asking you how many schools do it. I'm asking you, on your experience, has that happened to you? Where you
This
had
is
a month.
they start these days, these years, they start using this. But in the past, we didn't use to actually
So
to check
this
out.
year,
or measure
This year,
the level of the students.
how many days did you get to know your students?
Actually, I need 2 months.
No, this year, I'm talking about from your
Oh,
experience. How much time did your principal get you to say you don't have to do any instruction, just sit down with your students and get to know them? How many days did you have for that?
they are giving us only 2 days to see their levels only. Through
To see
the
that, okay, their
diagnostic test
levels.
only. Yeah,
Right. That's the point that I'm getting at. So
yeah.
the answer really is zero. Because I'll take it a step further.
Yes, you are right, zero.
What do you do with those diagnostic tests?
Nothing. I can't
No,
know
exactly.
I can't know the
You do
weakest system
you do
with their
absolutely
eyes.
nothing.
You
You
know,
do absolutely nothing with those diagnostic tests. You do absolutely nothing with them, right?
okay.
And that is in diagnostic tests, they have their place. And the diagnostic test is supposed to be a part of the learner profile. So you're supposed to sit with your department head and your other teachers who teach those students and
Mm,
go through those diagnostic along. So the diagnostic
yeah.
test, if they are proper tests. Now, let me ask you a question. Let's go down the rabbit hole a little bit here.
Mm. Sorry, again.
Who wrote those diagnostic tests?
The teachers, we.
Oh, do you have a degree in writing assessment?
No.
No,
It's
right?
easy. يعني for the,
I don't have a degree in writing assessment.
yes, you are right.
So
We know the skills that the student they have to
how do you know?
fill. The
How do
skills
you know?
grade one, it's easy. يعني do they have to know the vowels, the
Oh,
letters?
it's easy. It's
Yeah.
easy.
Oh,
Really?
I don't know.
You-
This is our principals asking us to do this.
Right.
Yeah.
So first, so we got an issue where you're writing diagnostics, right? And you're
Mm,
not trained to write a diagnostic. You never went
yeah.
to school to write assessment. There are people who go to school just to write assessments.
Yeah.
That's their job, right?
Mm,
That's all they know is how to write an assessment. There's things called validity and reliability, and there's a whole like mathematical stuff that I don't even know. I just know the little small parts of it,
mm, mm.
right? That's strike one. So you're writing the assessment, you don't even know what you are writing, right? And I know you're basing it based on with the textbook. You're basing it on the textbook, right?
Yeah, yeah, of course, yeah.
Right. But you're not measuring it on what they should have learned previously. There's a lot of factors that you're not measuring in. So the diagnostic that you're giving them is neither valid or reliable. So that's a tool. So you're using a tool that's not valid or reliable. So
Mm,
why even give the diagnostic? That's number one. And number two, you said yourself you had 2 days to give a diagnostic test. But
mm,
what about what the student wanted to know? What about what the student wanted to learn? What about what the students' expectations were? Are we considering those at all?
no, actually.
But but Carol Ann Thomason says the queen of differentiation. She says what? In order to differentiate instruction, the student must be ready, the
Mm,
student must be interested, and you must consider the learner profile.
mm,
Well,
mm,
if I don't know what the learner profile is, because I don't have a learner profile, I don't
mm,
know anything about the student because I didn't get an opportunity to get to learn anything about the students in my class or the learners in my class. Uh, I don't, and because I didn't get to learn anything about them, I don't know if they're interested and I don't know if they're ready.
So
And then
what?
we go into the school year
Mm,
waltzing around, acting and pretending as if we are teaching.
mm.
Now, I'm not blaming you, right?
Yeah, so
I
you,
have a rule. I have a rule. I have a saying. It's called the
mm,
golden rule. You know what the golden rule is?
yes, what is it? Tell me.
He who has the gold makes the rules.
Mm,
He who has the gold makes the rules. So yeah, we can't go in, we get hired in school, we work in the school. We can't say, oh, I'm going to take a month just to know my students, they're going to fire us.
Yes.
They'll
Yes.
fire you. The parents will get upset. Oh, he's not in the teacher is not
Right.
teaching,
Yeah.
right? And this is what's problematic. What I'm doing here is I'm trying to illustrate how as teachers, we're not following best practices. And then we wonder why students do not achieve.
So
Okay.
what is the correct
So we're
way to
going
see
by,
the
I'm
what is the
sorry.
correct way? Sorry. What is the correct way to see the level of the students at the beginning of the year? If we need
Well,
first to see
well, number one, we take the data from the previous year. And this is the problem with the system that we in international schools,
yeah.
because schools are not sharing data. So like if I go to ABC school and then I switch over to 123 school, ABC school is not sharing information, a file on the student. That's problematic. Number two, even inside of school. So if a student was in the first grade and he's now moving over to the second grade, even in the same school,
Mm.
typically there's not systems in place where the first grade teacher or the second grade teacher goes to the first grade teacher and say, give me some information about the student. Give me the student's file.
Yes, yes.
All
From
right.
the teachers only we're taking the
Yeah.
information actually.
Right. So the second issue is that again, you don't have valid diagnostics. The
Mm.
diagnostics are not valid. Okay. And then third, to answer your question, you need the time to get to know your student. So I'm not going to sit here and say you should have 1 month. 1 month might be a little bit outrageous,
Yeah.
but I would say a week to 2 weeks is appropriate. It's more than appropriate. And I think a really good school will focus on 1 month where there's no real instruction, but opportunity for the educator, the researcher, that educator researcher to get to know their students, get to know who they're teaching.
Mm.
Okay, because if we talk about Stephen Krashen and his effective filter theory and comprehensive inputs, and that those inputs must be interesting and compelling, like none of that matters if there's not a system in the place for those things to happen. Right? None of that matters if you're just taking a textbook or you're just taking a workbook and you're going through the pages, or you log in online and you're just doing the pages online. Okay.
I have oh,
So let's just stop for a second. You had a question?
yeah, just I will repeat what did you say? To see the level of the student. So we need data from the previous year and we need a valid diagnostic test, right? Who's gonna make it? Who's gonna prepare it? What do you think? Not the teachers?
The school should hire a person who is responsible for that, and that's the assessment. The school should have an assessment unit of
Mm.
people highly trained to do those things.
Okay.
They should have a system in place where there's communication. There has to be um, scope and sequencing and benchmarking, and
Mm.
these are the things you don't quite see in the schools. And we talk about international schools, and it's not just in Saudi Arabia, but all over the world.
Mm.
Because the education is quite disjointed. You have people who have different wants, needs, and expectations, different values, right? Could it happen here? It absolutely could happen here.
Mm.
But again, no one is ringing a bell to make those things happen. So, what do you do what do you do with a student who's brand new to the school, maybe just new to the country, and you don't have a file on them?
Mm. Yes.
You don't have any recs on them. That's very challenging,
Yeah.
right? So then another thing that we need to think about is what are the standards? So I'm going to ask you, you've been teaching for 11 years. What are standards?
Standards for what? Sorry. Yes.
What are academic standards?
Academic standards. We're using, you mean the American standards?
No, just tell me what standards are in general. They don't have to be American standards. What are
Okay.
standards?
Oh, our goals, right? Objectives, right? You mean? Sorry, I
Standards are not objectives. What are standards?
blundered. Mm,
All right, let me help you.
give me hint. Oh, forgot.
Standards are when you talk about academic standards, we're talking about what the student is tasked to know, what we expect them to
Oh, what
know,
did I, yes, what did I need?
what we expect them to be able to do, their standards. What do
Mm-mm.
we what we that's what we expect them to be able to do in a given period of time within the school year, typically within the school year. So we have first grade standards, second grade standards, so on and so forth. So standards, so anytime someone asks you about what standards are always the what,
Mm,
right? So at the beginning of the school year or before the beginning of the school year, there should be a list of standards for that grade, right? Whether
okay.
those standards come from Common Core or they come from the
Okay, so
British
kind of, oh, okay.
British system or Australian system or wherever they come from. Now, when I tell you the standards do not come from textbooks,
Mm.
right?
The students
Now,
need.
textbooks tend to have standards embedded in them, but they're not communicated to the teacher. The teacher needs to know exactly what those standards are.
Mm,
And those standards need to be aligned with the vision and the value and the ethos of the school.
mm,
Okay.
okay.
So the standards are what the
The
students
students expect to learn.
should know, expected to know.
Expected to
Because
learn.
from there we can get outcomes. We get expected outcomes.
Mm-mm.
So tell me the difference between a standards and curriculum.
Um, it's like the curriculum, it's like the tool that I use it to
Absolutely.
get to the my standards. Oh.
Absolutely. That's right.
Mm,
St- Curriculum is how. So standards is what? Curriculum is how. Very good. That's right. You stated it perfectly.
alhamdulillah.
Curriculum is the tool. How? All those things
Mm,
from curriculum is the design of the school building, the
mm,
textbook use, the where how you set up your classroom,
mm,
um, uh, what color pencils they write with, when the school day starts, when it ends, the different methods you use to teach. But everything that happens, when lunchtime is, right? When when siesta is, or when the students get a break, the school schedule, all that, everything that takes place during during learning, teaching, and learning transactions
mm.
are curriculum.
Okay.
Okay, and and they should be aligned with the standards. Okay,
Yeah. Okay.
so how do we know that we're moving towards the standards? That the curriculum is moving towards the standards? How do we know it?
How we know that we got our goals, you mean?
That we're moving towards our goals. Yeah, we're
When
moving
we see the
towards the
result,
expected outcome.
when we see the students, when we see the result on our students,
How do we know? How do we see the results?
by test quizzes,
Who's writing the test report?
the teachers.
But I thought you said you didn't have a degree in assessment writing.
Yeah, but
See the problem with that is? See what the
but this
problem
is
is
a
with that?
problem. This is a big problem for all the schools if you say that.
So it's a huge problem. So let's talk
Yeah,
about two things. It's okay that teachers write quizzes.
yes.
Why? It's okay that teachers write quizzes. Teachers can write quizzes.
Yeah, it's
But
okay.
tell me why. Well, tell me why.
Yeah. She knows everything. She knows what did she taught, what she taught, يعني exactly the students. When she finished the one unit
Oh,
at one,
how does she when she never did the learner profile? But I get the point. She knows the points that she covered through the unit, right?
Yeah.
So, but more importantly, why is it okay for the teacher to write the quiz?
Why it's okay
It's
for
okay.
the
It's okay because the quiz is not for the student. The quiz is for the teacher. Quizzes are a part of formative assessments. You heard of that before, right?
Yeah,
Formative assessment.
yeah, I know. Oh,
Quizzes are formative assessments.
okay.
Quizzes are not, they're not to, we really should not be using quizzes as a part of grades. Because quizzes are a tool to measure how well I'm getting the students through the course information, through the unit information. So I should not it's a formative assessment. I should not be putting a lot of pressure on students when they
Mm,
take quizzes. Because that's the measure of me, not them. Make sense?
yes.
So, so if my learners are not doing well on the quiz, I should look at that as a teacher problem, not their problem. That
Mm,
means I need to go back and reteach because obviously I didn't do something correct.
mm. So you
You
will not,
understand?
yeah. But do you think
But now the teacher is gonna say this. A teacher's gonna say, I taught it to you. I
mm,
taught you guys. How did you guys do so poorly on the quiz when I taught it to you? Problematic.
yes.
The quiz is a benchmark for the teacher to say, you know what?
Mm,
I need to change my approach because obviously they're not getting the information that I'm presenting. Or, wow, they really got the information. Maybe I need to increase the rigor. Maybe I need to make it a little bit harder because
mm,
Crashing, our friend Stephen Crashing, says I plus one. Remember we talked about those comprehensible inputs, the
yeah,
CI?
yeah, yeah.
Comprehensible inputs, they must be what? Tell me what comprehensible inputs must be.
Understandable.
And what else?
Um,
Understandable and
uh,
compelling,
yeah. Give me the
right?
spelling of the word compare, please. Again.
Compelling, COMPELLING, compelling. Oh, LING, no two L's, just one L. COMPELING, compelling.
Compelling. Yes, yes, I wrote it.
So it must be
Understandable and compelling.
interesting and compelling.
Mm,
Okay. Crashing also says that when you're given these comprehensible inputs, it should be I plus one, meaning information they already know, right? And you build
mm,
on what they already know, and you give them something new based on what they already know. I plus one. And this is
mm.
how we scaffold up. That's why we call it scaffolding. We
Scavenging.
scaffold up.
Mm,
I plus one. It's that whole idea. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So we give them one comprehensible input after another,
mm.
right?
Based on each other, yes.
And we build up.
Mm,
Okay. But how can you give them comprehensive inputs if you never did a learner profile and know what they actually know?
mm,
So this is why the quizzes are important. The quizzes are to assess the teacher, not the student. Because now I look at my quiz and say, you know what? I
mm,
need to get them ready for what? The unit tests, the tests, right?
mm,
So they're not ready for the test yet. I need to go back and change my method, do something different, go back, reteach it. All right.
mm.
So they can know the information. So eventually, when it's time to take the test, and we know tests are what? What type of assessments are tests? Tests
Sorry.
are what? Summative assessments. So you have formative
Summative,
assessments.
formative and summative, yes. Mm,
You have summative. Now, the summative assessments should be written by an expert,
mm.
right?
Okay. And is it
Teachers
okay
should
for
not be
you
writing
that
that.
Is it?
Teachers should not be writing the summative assessments.
Ah, teachers
Now,
shouldn't.
we know that teachers write them all the time,
Yeah, the
but teachers
formative.
should not be
Oh,
writing. They should not be writing. They should not be writing.
mm,
Those summative assessments, they could come from the textbook publishers. They can come from different, the people who are trained to write the assessment, who know what the standards are,
mm,
right? And they're not really concerned about the curriculum. They're concerned about the standards, right?
mm.
So each school can
And the
have a
skills
different
also,
curriculum.
right? The skills.
Each school could have a different curriculum, but the same standards.
Mm,
So that outside person can write the test based on the standards and not the curriculum.
mm,
And that's why you don't want teachers writing tests. So then when we wonder why school students don't do well on high stakes assessments, is because that's the first time they're writing a test that the teacher didn't write.
Who's
Or they're taking a
applying?
test.
Who's applying this? I don't think any. We have schools applying this. We have expert.
So again, it goes back to the golden rule, right? Yes, you're absolutely right. Most schools are not doing this.
Yeah.
I'll be absolutely honest with you. Most schools are not doing this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
You're right.
All right.
Yes.
And that's why a lot of the schools are not achieving or are not producing or coming up with the outcomes that they should be coming up. Okay. Let's be honest. A lot of schools are not doing a very good job. A lot
Yeah.
of them are not.
Yeah. You are right.
And the reason why is because they're not doing some of the basic things that we just talked about just now,
Mm,
right?
yes.
They're not doing some of the basic things for many reasons. We don't have enough money to hire an assessment writer.
Yeah.
You mean that's all she's gonna do is just write tests
Mm.
all day? She's not gonna do anything else?
You know
What
when
is
my
this? We
yes
need her in
you're
the
right.
classroom.
When my coordinator asked me to write the diagnostic test, she asked me to take a look at the KG3 curriculum and grade 1 curriculum, right? And to see the gaps and to see the skills that the student they have to get. That's why يعني we wrote diagnostic tests related to this يعني to our
You should not be writing diagnostic tests. I should not be writing diagnostic tests. All right. Only people who are trained in assessment should be writing those tests. Right.
even
Let me
even
ask you a question. Let me ask you a question.
yes,
Okay. You let's say you had a Mercedes Benz. You might have a Mercedes Benz. You got a Mercedes Benz?
sorry, what is that?
A Mercedes Benz. You know the car Mercedes Benz?
No.
Mercedes. You know Mercedes.
Mercedes يا
Oh,
الله.
yeah, you
Okay.
know Mercedes. Would you take the Mercedes to a Toyota mechanic?
No, of course.
No. The Toyota mechanic, he knows about what? Toyotas.
Yeah,
Now he can say, yeah, I can do, but trust me, he's gonna mess something up
yes,
because
yes.
his specialty is in Toyota.
Mm, mm.
And the Mercedes mechanic should not be looking at a Toyota.
Yes, you are
And
right.
see, that's what pretty much happens in schools. You have people who are doing jobs that they're not qualified to do.
Mm,
You have a lot of people that are doing jobs that they're not qualified to do. And it's unfortunate.
mm, yes.
It's really unfortunate. And there's many reasons why. And you can argue about those reasons. You can say that Dr. Ray, you're just being unrealistic. you're being unrealistic. Uh, you know, there's no way in the world we could possibly do that. Uh, well, I would say if you feel that that's the case, then you should not be in the business of schooling.
Mm,
You should not be in the business of schooling.
yes,
All right. It's just like you had a hospital, right?
yes, yes,
In the hospital, you want all the trained people. You want to train nurses. You want to train. You're not going to have a cardiac. You're not going to have a podiatrist doing heart surgery.
yes, of course, yes, you are right now.
You're not going to have a podiatrist doing heart surgery. You're not going to have a cardiologist doing brain surgery,
Mm, mm,
right? It's just crazy. But
mm,
in schools, we have everybody doing everything, and nobody knows what they're doing, right?
yes, yes, of
And you know, 11 years, I'm sure a lot of those years here, you know, like I know, that there's maids in the classroom.
yeah,
You know that.
yes,
You know, like I know, there's some people who never even went to, probably never even graduated high school, and they're in the classroom teaching.
yes, we are facing a lot of cases
Okay.
like yes, yes.
So what I'm talking to you about, that's the reality on the ground. What I'm talking to you about is the ideal approach.
Mm,
Ideally, if we're having a truly functional school, these are the things that we would consider,
mm,
right? These are the things that we must consider if we want to set our students up, if I want to set our learners up for academic success,
mm,
right? Uh,
mm,
because if you go to other places, you will see more of what I'm talking about. Like for instance, if you go to the States, and trust me, America's education system is not perfect,
mm,
but you will see more of this. Same thing when you go to the UK. UK British system is not British education is not perfect. There's no one who has a perfect education system, but you
mm.
will see more best practices. You will
Let
see more best practices.
let me tell you something that when we in the end of the first term when we see that we have a weak student, actually we work individually on them. Like we make a remedial plan. We start giving them the basics for each student, and this give us all يعني give the teacher a high or a burden on the teacher. Because from the beginning of the year that she faced that they cannot move with you or cannot work with you. So as a coordinator, they're telling us that we have to solve this problem. As you
Yeah.
mentioned, يعني I faced يعني lower grade student they didn't enter KG3. So who's gonna face this problem? The teacher herself.
Right. So in an ideal situation, we
Yeah,
would do what? We would not put that young person in the first grade.
yeah.
Or we would put them in a grade or in a situation where that young person can thrive.
Mm,
Right. We also have the problem here where you have people who have learning disabilities who are
yeah.
being mainstreamed in regular classrooms.
Mm, mm.
Right. And with no IEP, with no assistance,
Yeah,
no
I agree.
plan to address their needs.
Mm. I'm giving
See,
extra classes for my student for the weak students, after my the school
but
hours.
yeah, but I tell you, most of the time those extra classes don't work. There's something called John Hattie. He's an Australian researcher. He has something called visible learning,
Yeah, visible.
and he has done this over the last 20 years, I believe.
Mm,
And what we see in remedial teaching or remedial classes, coach classes, we call them sometimes, they simply don't work. They don't
mm,
work. They have a low effect on academic success. Because
mhm.
what you're trying to do is you're trying to cover up, you're trying to put perfume when it's on a stinky person. It doesn't work that way,
Yes, oh yes, yes, you are right.
right?
And
And
the
because
teacher
as you
cannot,
said, go ahead.
the teacher cannot do يعني this thing alone. She needs also help from their moms. If she didn't
Need
follow up with
assistance.
me, I can't, yeah, I can't get my goal alone.
Yeah.
Mm,
The other issue that we face is this point. We act as if, again, going back to Diane Lawson Freeman, that teaching causes learning.
mm,
And a lot of people act as if teaching causes learning. Teaching does not cause learning,
yes. Mm,
right? So that means that this place called a school and these rooms in the school called a classroom, they're artificial.
mm,
They're artificial. They're not primary, they're secondary, tertiary, ancillary learning spaces. The real learning takes place in the real world, in the chaos of the real world. We put people in these rectangular boxes called a classroom, in this
mm,
rectangular building called a school, and we expect that some magic is supposed to happen. Just magic.
yes. Mm,
And it doesn't work that way. So again, that's why we should not call ourselves teachers. These are labs. Every classroom is a lab.
yeah.
And these people that we call teachers are scientists doing experiments in a lab because real learning happens outside of walls.
Yes.
Real learning happens in real life. It's authentic. So we're trying to teach people authentic things in an artificial setting. And a lot of times it simply doesn't work, and we create students instead of learners,
Mm,
right?
yes. Yes.
We
Yes.
create, and then what happens is if we have to have these comprehensible inputs that are compelling and that are understandable and compelling, right? Understandable and compelling, then how does that happen when the students just he says this is not real? Why do I need to know this? Why do I need to know about Napoleon? Why do I need to know about this geometry? Right?
Mm,
Because it's in a situation that's not authentic. There's a lot of what we call inert learning going on, inert learning, where the student begins to understand that what they're learning they don't need. Ultimately, if you're not dealing with the student's wants, needs, and expectations,
mm,
you're not doing that learner profile. It becomes the whole transaction becomes very
mm,
problematic because you're not dealing with real life wants, needs, and expectations of the people in your class,
yes. You're
right?
right. Mm,
So the other point that I want to make, um, we talked about crashing, um,
Noam
we
Chomsky.
talked about Noam Chomsky, we talked about Diane Loss Friedman, Camara DeValue, we mentioned Prablu,
Mm,
is that the essence of being an educator is planning. We
mm,
collect data, we make data-driven decisions because that's what we do as researchers, as scientists. We collect a lot of data and we plan based on that data. That's what we call making data-driven decisions, right?
mm,
So that means we need time and space to plan. So just keep that in mind. When you're starting a course, when you're teaching a class, you need time and space. How much
mm,
time and space? Well, that depends on how many years you've been teaching that course. You know, what the vision is of the school, what the ethos is of the school, what resources you have. That changes per person. But the point is that teaching is about planning. And there's this idea that's becoming very popular among educators
mm.
that educators do not need to write lesson plans.
Yeah. What do
That
you
is
think about the
nonsense.
lesson plan?
That is complete nonsense. Educators must write, you need to go into a classroom with a plan every day.
Mm,
Now, that doesn't mean you're going to execute that plan because things happen, but you need to go in with a set plan that is based on a yearly plan. So you should have a yearly plan, which is comprehensive of where you want the student to be at the end of the year.
Yes, of course.
You should have unit plans
Mm,
that gets to the academic year, the academic year plan.
mm.
And then you should have daily lesson plans. Now, a lot of times what I see in Saudi is what? Weekly plans.
Oh, yes.
That's some of the biggest nonsense I ever seen in my life. How
Really?
do you have a weekly plan without a unit plan? Do you write unit plans?
No, we don't have unity plans. Only we have yearly plan and weekly plans.
Right. The most important, all of those plans are important because they support one another,
Yeah. Mm,
right? But if you don't have daily lesson plans and you're focusing on the weekly plans, your teaching becomes disjointed, and you can't do best practices like cross-curricular learning. You know
mm,
what cross-curricular learning is?
mm. I have heard about it. Cross curriculum.
Cross-curricular. Think about what that means. Think about the words you had there. Cross-curricular. Cross-curricular.
It, it just give you like a look at the curriculum.
Cross-curricular learning is when you do not compartmentalize the learning. See, what happens in most schools is you what? You have a schedule, daily schedule, right?
Yes.
Let's say from 8 o'clock to 8:50 is English. And then from 9 to 9:45 is Islamic studies. And from 10 to 10:50 is math. And from so on and so forth. You get what I'm saying, right?
Mm,
And we teach those each one of those subjects as and sometimes some teachers, you have a whole new teacher coming in, right?
mm,
Whole new teacher come in and teach Islamic study. Maybe another teacher comes in to teach art. Another teacher may come in, depending on what grade you're in, right? For
mm,
you, you teach most of the courses because you're first grade.
mm.
But even Islamic studies, you don't teach that course, do you? You don't teach that instruction, do you? Do you teach Islamic studies as a first grade teacher?
No, no, no. Just English and social studies.
Just English and social studies.
Mm.
So, and then and how many times a week do you sit with other teachers to
Oh, you
plan
mean
the?
like integration with other subjects?
Yes.
Oh, I like STEAM.
Huh?
Like
That's not
STEAM?
that's not STEAM.
Oh, okay.
STEAM is something totally different.
Okay. The integration with other subjects. No, we don't actually. We use it for 1 year, then we stopped.
Yeah. So if we're teaching and using best practices, we
Mm,
use cross-curricular learning.
mm,
And we mix in reading with or English with math, and math with social studies, and social studies with art. And we mix all these things blend in. So the
mm,
students get these reoccurring themes. And it's easier to go with the I+1 because the teachers can now use what the other teachers have taught
mm, mm,
to
mm.
add one more bit of information to scaffold up.
Oh, yes. Oh.
But what tends to happen in many cases, and again, not just in Saudi, around the world, is that we
Mm,
compartmentalize the learning. So then we get students saying things like this: I love math,
mm,
or I love English, or I love science. It's so interesting because you'll get a student to say, I love science, but I hate reading. What?
mm.
Science is reading.
Yeah.
I love science, but I don't like the English class or the Islamic
Yes, you are right.
The Arabic class. Well, hold on a second. How are you learning science if you're not reading it in Arabic or English or whatever or French, whatever language? right? That don't
Mm,
make a lot of sense
mm,
because science is nothing more than reading at high level comprehension, right?
mm. Yes.
So that's a product of compartmentalizing the learning.
Mm,
Okay.
yes.
Um, I'm gonna stop right there because I think I gave you a lot of information.
Yeah.
Your brain is probably cooked.
But
All
that's
right.
يعني.
So what I want you
Mm.
to do is I want you to think about what we talked about today.
So tell me, what do you
And
want me to do? Oh, I will read
so
everything that I wrote. Notes.
so yeah, basically you're gonna take your notes and you're gonna read chapter 1 and chapter 2 of the Smooth Move book. Remember, next Tuesday, you're gonna
Um,
give your journal responses. Only needs to be one question, and those questions you can find in the Google Classroom.
yeah, I
And
saw
remember,
them.
it's simple. What did I learn this week?
Mm,
And how can I use it in my teaching? There's always the same two questions every week.
okay.
So you have one question, answer that, and then you half the page, and the other half the page, you answer the second question.
Mm.
Remember, it should be handwritten. All right.
What
I don't
did
want
I
you
learn?
type.
How can I use it, right?
How can I use it in my teaching? Yes.
I use it.
All right.
Okay. I
So
will
let
read
me
the
ask
first
you.
two chapters. So I will read the
So
first two chapters.
you would include the first two chapters with
Oh,
what I talked about today.
okay.
Okay.
Inshallah. Then I will write.
When the first thing that we're going to talk about on Saturday
Mm.
is lesson planning.
Lesson
I'm going to
plan.
show you how to write a lesson plan. A
Nice.
TESOL.
Okay. Um, inshallah, the lesson or the session will be at 10, right?
10 o'clock. Yeah. Actually, I'm sorry.
It's
Not
okay.
lesson planning. Saturday. I'm going to teach. We're going to go over um, context, and we're going to go over the teacher paradigm. Teacher, teacher, student, teacher.
Oh, okay. Oh.
Okay, we're going to go through the teacher paradigm.
Mm. I will read only
All
the
right.
book that you showed to me now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
not the grammar, but the textbook that's in the
the
Google
textbook.
Classroom.
Okay.
All right.
Mr. Okay, inshallah. Um,
You have any other questions?
yeah, can we make this Tuesday's session at 7?
I can't do 7 because I have
You can't?
another commitment. Yeah, I have another
Mhm.
commitment at 8 every
Oh,
Tuesday.
at 8. Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's why 6. Because right after I get off this call, I have another
It's okay.
call.
It's okay. Don't worry. It's okay.
Yeah.
Inshallah. Okay.
All right. Any other
Really,
questions?
no, thank you. Really, يعني, I like really what do you, what did I learn today? Really, thank you so much. You refreshed my memory, actually. Thank you so much. Inshallah, I will do what did you tell me. I will read the two chapters, then I will write one paper.
Yep.
I will send it to you
Yep.
here, right? As a picture.
Google Classroom. Yeah,
So then,
I'm gonna create. I will create a. In fact, I'll do it now. I'll
oh,
create an. I will
assignment.
create an assignment,
Oh,
and this your journal responses.
oh, oh.
One, and then I'll create the topic, journals,
Mm.
and the due date will be next Tuesday.
Inshallah.
It's
Inshallah.
it's easy, and then it's not graded, so ungraded.
Oh,
All right, and assign. So turn your journals. Yeah.
okay.
Right,
Right. I really enjoyed the session, Mr. Rainer.
no problem.
Thank you so
Good. I'm
much.
glad you enjoyed the session.
Okay.
That's the hope. Make it enjoyable. And don't be afraid to ask questions or challenge if something doesn't make sense to you.
Okay.
Please challenge me and say, hey, look, I don't understand that, or that doesn't make sense to me.
Okay, إن شاء الله.
Okay?
إن شاء الله.
Inshallah.
Thank
All
you so
right.
much. Okay.
We'll see you on Saturday, okay?
إن شاء الله. Thank you so much, Mr. Rainer. Thank you.
All right. Bye for
Bye
now.
bye. Bye bye. Thank you. Have a nice day.